Hello friends and welcome to Mama Needs a Goal. It is the weekend after Mother's Day, which is a sign for me that it's time to start getting my flowers planted, dividing up my plants that are in the yard, power washing, and getting the backyard and front yard ready for the summer. And I thought it would be fun to do a little mini series of what I do each year to prep and get ready for the season. So I thought it'd be fun to bring you along. Walk over here and I'm going to show you the items that I use. I use the same pots over and over every year, and if some break then I go ahead and replace them. First off, I use just some topsoil, some plant food, and I always like to top my plants off with some mulch. And then over here for my hanging baskets, I usually I use cocoa mats. I usually get about 2 to 3 years out of my cocoa mats every year, but this year I'm going to need to replace them. The birds really got a hold of them and used it for nesting. I picked these up at Aldi's the other day. So as you can see, they're kind of thin, and what we want to do is soak them in some water to expand. So I'm going to put them in this bucket of water to get it started and let them soak while I work on potting the plants. First up, we are going to plant the pots that I keep down my steps. I have 8 pots, 4 on each side of my steps, and my favorite plant is geraniums, so I thought it would be fun to show you how I do these. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to get started now. I'm going to put on my little dollar store gloves. And I forgot to mention that I am in Zone 7A. I know years ago it was considered Zone 6B, but the USDA hardiness zone had changed it back in 2012, and now they say we're in Zone 7A. So these plants that I'm using are for the zone that I'm in. So the first thing first is, as you can see, this was my old geranium from last year, so I'm going to go ahead and just dig out the center. I have a little container here to put the dirt in. And I just kind of take off the top layer a little bit. Now I'm going to dig down in the middle. I'm going to mix this up really well. And then I'm going to get a little bit of plant food for you. And what I usually do is, first we're going to plant this flower. This is called a moonlight lavender geranium, and what I'm going to do is take this out of the pot, just lay it here, and then what I like to do is just kind of take out the center soil that's still, take this out, and then what I'd like to do is add a little bit more. I just put a little bit in my hand, sprinkle it in, then I like to mix it up. Now these pots in the bottom, they have a hole here in the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. And I have a couple pieces of broken terracotta pots, because these do break they last about 2-3 seasons, and then they'll start cracking and breaking, and then I just break them up and I use the bottom for plants. Okay, for drainage. Now as you can see, the roots are kind of all together, and I just break it apart like that. Just loosen it up, nothing major. And then try to get your hole right in the middle, and you put your plant right in there. And then I just break the top of the soil a little bit, and then I just cover it back up, and then I'll put a little bit of this back on top. And as you can see, I try to reuse this instead of going in for the bag. Usually my bigger plants, bigger pots, I'll need to use the soil for that. And as you can see, that is done. And then what I like to do, and this is just a tip that I've done for years that I'd like to share with you, is when it rains, the dirt spills out and gets everything muddy. I like to do is take some hardwood mulch, shredded mulch, and I just put a nice little layer around the top like that. I think it gives it a very finished look. It also helps keep the moisture in, and it also helps stopping the dirt from spilling out all over the place when it rains hard. And there you go. And then what I'll do is work on the next one. So I'm going to set this aside, and the next geranium, and what I like to do is I alternate my geraniums. I usually pick two that complement one another and put them down the steps, and I just alternate going down the steps. So again, I'm just removing that top layer, taking out the middle from the old geranium, and then I will scoop out in the middle some of the dirt, like that. There's some more roots, and I have myself a nice little hole down here. And then this geranium I absolutely love. I don't know if you can see that. It's variegated where it's lighter in the middle. This one is called Moonlight Raspberry Blush. I love that name, by the way. And then I just take it off, and again we have some roots that are there, and I just gently pull it apart. And I pull that out in the middle, and I sit it right down in there. Spread out the top a little bit. Then I'll take some of this dirt that I pulled out. Oh, I forgot to do a little bit of my plant food, unfortunately. So I'm going to pull that back out, put that in there, and mix that up. I probably could have got away with not doing that because there still is quite a bit in there, but I'm not taking any chances. So then I'll put that back in. There we go. And then I will fill this back in. Just gently push it down, and be careful you don't want to rip the leaves. And then I'm going to grab myself a handful of this shredded hardwood mulch again. And I am going to top off the pot with that. There we go. And voila. Is that absolutely beautiful? And after I do my little mini series, I will do a backyard tour, and you'll be able to see how well these grew. It's so beautiful. They get bigger, and so let me get started, and I have 6 more of these to plant. So let me get started. Alright my friends, as you can see, I got all 8 pots planted, and what I'm going to do is put them down my steps, and I will alternate each flower. And like I said earlier in the video, I will give you a backyard tour when this is done and show you how it all turns out. Thank you so much for joining me.